Now we will start with two new types of functions, which are the OR and the AND functions. AND and OR functions form nested functions. So what are nested functions? Nested functions are functions within a function, and these two functions can be used within the logic functions which we have covered already. AND and OR are used to give two or more conditions, and when you are using AND, this means that all the conditions which you have given should be met, and when you are giving OR, this means that any one of those conditions could be met. Now let's try to solve a question and see what nested functions actually means and how we apply these two functions. So we again have the same data set at our left, which we have been using for the past few lectures. So the first question asks us to give a bonus of representatives who sold either pencil or binder. So we need to determine who gets a bonus. Now we can create another column over here and name it as bonus or no bonus. So you can understand what we are doing now is again using the if function to determine whether this representative gets a bonus, which would be value if true, and no bonus, value if false, for the logic which we will create. So when you type if and you select this, the first thing it's again asking you is the logic test. Now you have two criterias over here for representatives who sold either pencil or the binder. Alright, so either one of these two conditions could be met. How this will go about is you will type OR, and Excel has now suggested you the OR function. So you will select this again. OR is asking you for logic 1, logic 2, and as many logics as you want to give it. So the first logic is for this cell to be equal to this cell, right? Because we want pencil. But the second selection, this E4, should be absolute. This is our first condition. The second condition is for this cell to be equal to binder. That's this cell, and this is going to be absolute again. And then you close your brackets and you put a comma. Now you can see that you have moved back into your if function. We started with if and we put another function OR inside this. This is called a nested function. So instead of this logic test, we put in the logics through the OR function. We put in because we had two logics. And now that we are done with the logic test, we have moved on to value if true. This comma denotes that we are moving to the next argument. So if either of my conditions are being met, then I need to give a bonus to the representatives. So I can type in bonus with inverted commas for value if true, and no bonus for value if false, if the conditions aren't met. When I press enter, I can see that this person is supposed to get a bonus. And you need to drag your cursor down. Another shortcut for dragging your cursor is to simply double click on your fill handle, and the function will get dragged to the very bottom. As this is a very large table and I don't want to go about dragging it like this, I can double click on this end and the entire formula has been dragged out. So now you can see that people who sold pens are not getting a bonus, but people who either sold pencil or binder are getting a bonus. Now the second part is asking us to give a bonus to representatives who sold binders only, but in the east region. Now these conditions are different, and these conditions require both of them to be met. Right, so we are supposed to give the bonus to a person who has sold binders and in the east region. So we would be using the AND function over here because both the conditions are supposed to be met. So now we can use the same column for this new bonus. So you will again start typing with the if function, and then instead of this logic function we will use the AND function. Previously we used OR because both the conditions weren't supposed to be met at the same time, but now both our conditions are supposed to be met right now. So AND again needs to be fed with logics. So our first logic is that the item should be equal to binders, and you will make this cell absolute. And the second condition is that the region should be east, so you will select the region cell equals to east, make this absolute, and then you close your brackets over here. So Excel recognizes that you are done with the AND function. So now when you put a comma, Excel knows that you have moved on from your logic test to the value if true. So your value if true is again bonus, or you could just write yes and no. That depends on the heading of your column. And when I press enter, I get a no over here. So when I drag this, you can see that yes is only coming where we have a binder and the east region, and the rest of them are no. So OR is allowing you to put in a lot of conditions which necessarily don't have to be met all at the same time, whereas AND requires you to meet all the conditions at the same time. Now the last part is asking you to give a bonus to representatives of pencils if they have sold more than 50 units. Again you can see this requires the AND function, because we are supposed to give bonus to representatives of pencils only if they sold more than 50. So none of these conditions can be excluded. So we will use this column again. For this new function you will type equals to if, and then you will type in AND. So your first logic is that the item should be equals to pencil, and your second logic is that the unit sold should be greater than 50, and then you will close your brackets, and then you will type value if true bonus comma no bonus, brackets close, enter, and then you will double click on your fill handle, and now you can see that the person who has sold pencils and more than 50 units is getting a bonus. A person who sold pencil but didn't sold more than 50 units is not getting a bonus. So both of the conditions are being considered through the AND function.